Okay, great. So let's get started. So I'll invite you guys to come and lay down in constructive rest pose and gather up any props that you might want kind of nearby. I think I'm going to create our plan sort of as we go. I have a couple ideas for today, but let's just lay down. We'll get centered and we'll get started. So feel free to add anything that you like, eye bag, sandbag, etc. Find a place to rest your hands that feels comfortable for you. And we'll start to connect with the breath. Oops. So you can inhale deeply through your nose and exhale out your mouth. And then do that a few more times, just seeing if with each exhale you can kind of sink into the earth. And just notice if you're holding any tension in your body and see if you can just micro adjust to let that go. So if they're not already, you could widen your feet a bit and let the knees fall together. So it's just as little effort as possible in the legs. And you might want to nod your head a little bit or tilt your chin just to kind of find the place where there's the least effort, where you can rest the most. You might even be holding your shoulders up a little more than you realize. So with an exhale, you could see if you could just drop that. And just allow your breath to flow. And there might be a few sighs. It might be a more natural breath. Just see if you can come with a quality of allowing. Just softening enough that your breath can come in and go as it pleases. And let's just take a few moments to just do that, just to breathe and feel, to soften wherever it's possible for us to soften. And then I'm going to invite you to try a little bit of intuitive movement. So we're just going to take a moment for that. And you guys already know how to do this. We usually just do little bits of it. But I'm just going to invite you to see how your body wants to move. So this is really a practice in letting your body lead. Okay. And so you're kind of feeling into your body and just noticing what comes up. So you might find that you want to stay still. And you might find that there is rocking or stretching. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. Okay. And you might find that you're doing something similar to what we often do. And that's fine as well. There's nothing that we need to judge here. And one interesting way of doing this can also be just following the breath. Every inhale is an expansion, and every exhale is a contraction or a release towards the earth. So just see if your breath can kind of guide a little bit of movement for you here, just allowing your body to do its thing. And it can be quite nice to close your eyes as you're doing that. So when we close the eyes, we get out of the brain a little bit, that part of us that kind of wants to manage what's happening, right? Which is a useful part, but sometimes we want to just let that go and kind of feel. So just see what comes up as you let yourself move. There might be big movements, but they might be really small. There's, again, no right or wrong. Just taking a few moments to see what that feels like, to explore it. So part of my mission with Feel Good Yoga is learning the body, learning the language of the body, and trusting the wisdom of the body, which is a practice. It's not always easy to do, okay? And here this is one tool we can use to kind of explore what sort of movement wants to happen and trusting that your body knows what you need in this moment. Let's take a few more breaths. Okay. And then when you're ready, let's place the feet about mat's distance apart, keeping the knees bent, and take your arms open into a nice big cactus shape. Inhale, or sorry, open T shape. You could do cactus shape too, that's fine, just misspoke there. And then you can take your knees over to the left and turn your gaze to the right. So we'll just take a few breaths in this nice open twist. And throughout this practice, you might keep the intuitive movement just as a little bit of an intention. So just kind of noticing within each shape if there is something your body wants to do in particular and just honoring that. Okay, when you're ready, we'll go over to the other side, just letting the knees fall to the right, looking to the left. Maybe this is pretty passive, maybe it's a little bit more active. Awesome. And then gently come back through center. You can just relax the knees together for the moment. We're going to work on the shoulders for a minute and then we'll add on. So your arms are open in a T shape, so wide to the right and the left. And we're going to do our little washcloth or shoulder flossing. So you're going to take your left shoulder and roll it forward. So the shoulder comes up off the ground and the hand twists towards the back and up. And then relax that. And then go the other way. So the shoulder blade rolls down the back and the hand twists in the opposite direction. And then relax. Okay, right side, the shoulder rolls up off the ground so that we're internally rotating. And then relax down and externally rotate. So the shoulder blade slides down the back and the shoulder rolls in the opposite direction. So your hand, your forearm will be twisting. And then relax. Okay, if you want, try that one more time, or we can start to bring them together. I know that you guys, most of you have tried this before. So we start to bring them together. So as one shoulder rolls forward, the other one rolls back. And then we come to neutral, and then the opposite way. So it's squeezing the entire shoulder girdle, like twisting a washcloth. Okay. Relax your head, and you'll likely start to notice that your head naturally turns, your face naturally turns in the direction of the shoulder that's externally rotating. Now that's a lot of words, okay, don't worry about it. Just notice where your head naturally wants to go and let it. Okay, and if this is working for you, if this is feeling good, we can add the legs. So we can take windshield wipers, turning the knees away from the face. But again, don't worry too much about that. If your wires are getting crossed and your knees are going the same direction as your face, it's really not a big deal. We're just getting the twist along the shoulder girdle and along the spine now as well. And this is like wringing out whatever's stuck in the shoulders and along the spine. I find this one usually feels pretty good. So just about one more round. You may or may not remember where you started. I don't. But this feels complete here. So I'm just going to relax back through center. You can keep your arms open if you want, or draw them in if you prefer. And you might want to take a moment just to let the legs go long like Shavasana. And take a few deep breaths. Okay, and then gather your knees in towards your chest and take a little rock from side to side. And then take your knees in your hands and just circle the knees. So you're getting a little massage along the lower back sacrum area. Just as slow as you want to go. And then reverse the direction of the circle. Good. Okay, from here, place your feet on the ground. And then pick up your left leg and extend it towards the sky. Hold on to the back of the leg with your interlaced fingers, or if your strap is handy, you could actually put your strap around your foot. And then flex the foot and just press the heel up to the sky, gently drawing the leg in until you feel a little bit of a stretch along the calf hamstring area. If you're a little more flexible and you can grab your foot, you can do that, but you don't need to, okay? It's just wherever is accessible for you, or if you have that strap, that's fine. And then you could experiment with straightening out the right leg. That's going to be a little bit more of a stretch here. You could give your ankle a little circle and then circle the other way. Okay, and then bend the leg again, hold on to the knee, and just gently open the knee to the left. So I've got my right hand on the top of my right thigh, and I'm just gently drawing the left thigh open to the left. So it's almost like some of the way to happy baby. And then you could stay here or take half happy baby. And that's just sole of the foot up to the sky, and then you could grab the ankle or the foot and just kind of see how that goes for your inner thigh, groin. Nice. And then let's gently release that. Both feet to the floor or both legs long, and just take a moment to feel the two sides. And then we'll switch. So bend both knees again, straighten up your right leg, hold on at the back of the thigh, or use your strap if your strap is there, and that's easy and accessible for you. Drawing the leg gently in as you press the heel up to the sky. So really try to flex the foot. That'll bring your calf in. And then you could straighten your left leg if that feels comfortable. That's usually just going to be a little bit more of a stretch here. Just keep breathing. A little shaking is really common in this particular shape. Nothing wrong with that. And again, maybe some little circles with the ankle. And you might notice that the stretch changes a little when you circle the ankle. And then reverse the direction. Okay, and then bend the knee. Hold on to the knee with the right hand and just hug it wide. You can take the you can take the left hand onto the top of the left thigh and press down. And if you'd like to experiment with half happy baby, if you're feeling like you're open enough to do that right now, feel free to give it a try. But just listen to your thigh, right? If it's kind of saying that's a little too much, you're not ready for that, then back off. Nice. And then gently release both feet to the floor or both legs long. Just take a moment to feel that. Beautiful. And then bend at the knees again. Okay, we're going to work with a little bit of core. We'll start with some core awareness and some pelvic floor work. So as you inhale, let your pelvis tilt forward, relax your belly and relax your pelvic floor. And then as you exhale, gather the pelvic floor in and up, and then try to scoop the belly button towards the spine, flattening the lower back to the mat. Okay. Inhale, relax belly button, relax pelvic floor. So that's the muscles around your genitals. Exhale, gather them in and up, and then let that initiate the movement so that we're flattening the lower back to the mat. And then just do that a couple more times. So this is really nice therapy for pelvic floor, for lower back, and for core without actually putting a lot of strain into these muscles. It's nice and easeful. Just kind of getting that movement together. Okay, and then let's do that one more time. So we're inhaling to release, exhaling, gather in pelvic floor, gather in core. And then pause here, come back to neutral, keeping the muscles engaged, and then see if you can keep the pelvic floor engaged and release the belly. This is a bit challenging, okay? So just give it a try. And then relax pelvic floor if you haven't already. And then see if you can just engage pelvic floor, not the core, the belly. And then relax pelvic floor, and then engage. Try to keep the belly soft. Hold, keep breathing. And then relax everything. Take a nice deep breath. Okay, so the core muscles have been welcomed into the room, so now let's use them. And I think for today, I want to do a little skywalking. I think that's all I want to do. I don't want to overdo core today. Some of you were in the flow class yesterday with me, so we're doing some core there. So you can extend your legs up to the sky. If this is more comfortable with a little cushion underneath your bum, you can do it that way. Okay, you can also have the knees bent, so don't feel like it has to be super straight legs or anything. You can either, I'll start actually with the arms up to the sky. Find that pelvic floor again. Core is pressing back, but we're keeping a neutral spine. And then we're just going to move a little bit. So the right hand and the right leg go forward towards the bottom of your mat, any amount. And then inhale, and we bring them back up. It's like they're connected by a string. And then the left leg and the left arm go forward as if they're connected with a string. And then they come back up. So we're just moving nice and slow, trying to really stay aware of what we're asking the core to do. And we want to really keep the core muscles drawing in and up so they're not popping forward. And sometimes I just feel with my hand just to make sure that they're not popping forward, they're kind of drawing in. And if you want to add on to this a little bit, you can interlace your fingers around behind the back of the head and just lift the shoulder blades up. So we're just adding a little bit more of the upper abdominals here. Keeping that same intention, nice and slow, nice and sure. Beautiful, you guys. Just going to that place where you feel like your core has some weight to lift, some work to do. So good. We're just gonna try one more each side if you can. Beautiful, you guys. And then gently release. You can hug the knees in, rock side to side. If you like happy baby, both feet up to the sky, holding the ankles. Sometimes I find it feels really nice after doing a bit of core, and we can rock side to side as well. Okay, and then let's release that. So grab a prop. If you have a block, grab a block, a brick. But you could also use a lower prop, a cushion, anything, and just elevate your hips a little bit. So we're putting that prop underneath the sacrum, so back of the pelvis. This should be painless in your back, okay? And the prop is pretty low down. It's kind of top of the bum, so it's not really in the vertebrae. It's at the sacrum. And then take a breath, and you might find this is like, oh, that feels nice. A little release into the core. Otherwise, you could try straightening out your right leg and just see if that feels good. If it does, you could bring the left knee up and in towards the left shoulder and take a little apanasana with some elevation, which I find Man, just so delicious. I love this one. It's great for getting into the psoas, which is a deep hip flexor muscle, and also the more superficial area right here. Nice deep belly breaths. And then we'll switch. So one foot to the floor and then the other. And then straighten out that left leg. That might be enough. You could bring in the right knee. And you're really, you're active through the left leg, but it's heavy and long. You're pressing the heel forward. Deep belly breaths. Beautiful, you guys. And then one foot to the floor and then the other. You might want to take a moment just to feel symmetrical with a little bit of elevation underneath your hips. Take a nice deep breath. And gently release, lift your bum up, place it back down on the mat. Let's take a brief banana asana. I know Laurel's favorite. So go ahead and straighten your legs out and then walk them to the right, optionally crossing the left ankle over, crossing the left heel over the right ankle. Arms up over the head in any shape is fine, and walk your upper body to the right as well, keeping your both bum cheeks down on the ground. Okay, we're not going to be here too long, so if you want, you can take it a little more active. So by that I mean I'm flexing my left foot and kind of straightening the leg and just gently tugging the left wrist with my right hand, and I'm just going to take a few deep breaths into the side body. I've always loved side bends, and I feel like they're a little underutilized in yoga. We don't do as many of them as we could. I always find they feel so good. Nice. Okay, let's release that and just go to the other side. So walking your feet through center and over to the left, optionally hooking the right heel over the left ankle. Upper body goes over to the left as well. Maybe you're holding the wrist up over your head. Maybe you're holding elbows or arms could be open. This should be painless in your shoulders. Breathing into your side body, a little bit more active if that feels okay. And then gently releasing that, come back through center. And again, you can take a moment to just kind of flop out and feel the two sides of the body. Awesome. Okay, and then when you're ready, we'll roll over to one side. I'm on my left side. We're just going to do a little bit of that butt core work, just because it's so beneficial. But we're just going to do, I think, one piece, and then we'll move on from there. So I'm laying on my left side. I've got my head supported in my left hand. Knees are together, just slightly pointed down. Hips are stacked, and then we're going to open the knees, lift the foot, close the knees, and then bring the feet together. So you guys have mostly done this one before. So we're opening clamshell, but then the foot lifts, the knee stays lifted, and then the knees come together, and then the foot. Okay, so just moving nice and slow. You can do this with the breath. I find that I tend to inhale as the knee goes up, and then exhale as the knee comes down. So it's sort of like a clamshell with a tail. I'm not quite sure what the right name for this one would be. Keep your hips really stacked on top of each other. And I find for myself, I'll cheat with these by leaning back. So sometimes I have to remind myself just to keep the hips really stacked, or if anything, press the hip a little forward. I can feel that work in the outer hip. And we just kind of want to work to fatigue. You want to work to that place where you feel like the muscle is meeting its limit. And it doesn't have to be like hard extreme limit. It could be that place where you're just like, yep, I can feel that. I'm feeling it a little bit. And I'm a big fan of working, sort of within the comfort zone, coming towards the edge of it. But I find that if we really try to push ourselves, we can activate the nervous system. And then it's kind of working at cross purposes, right? The body doesn't want to do what we want it to do when it's sort of feeling stretched in that way. So we all have our own spot with that. So I'm just going to do one more, feeling that limit coming up here. And then I'm just going to pad out that outer hip with my hand. So feel free to meet me when you feel like you've hit your limit. You might have been there for a while, which is fine. And we're just going to flip right over and do the other side. And I'm going to go this way. So again, nice and simple, little natural curve in the lower back, head should feel supported. It could be resting on your arm. Feet are active, and then when you're ready, begin the little clamshell plus. So the knees open, the foot lifts, the knees come together, and then the feet come together as well. Just really noticing the hips staying really steady. And sometimes I do actually put a hand on there just to remind my hip not to cheat, because it wants to cheat, because I'm not naturally very strong in these outer hip muscles. And it's a practice for me to keep them strong. But when I do, my lower back loves me. When I don't, my lower back gets very mad. So I got to remind myself here. Just nice deep breaths, no rush. Active foot helps to keep the core engaged. We're not really tensing the stomach muscles or anything, but we're just kind of keeping integrated. So you kind of, with the core, sometimes the way I think about that is that every part of the body is talking to each other. So it's not so much that a certain set of muscles is engaged, but rather that the body as a unit is connected. Yeah, I always hit my limit sooner on the second side. I'm going to try for 3 more. And again, there can be a bit of self-regulation here. So there's a little bit of like, okay, where's the limit that's within my comfort zone? So before I start to get stressed, we're not looking to get stressed. That doesn't feel good. Sometimes it happens anyway, but we do the best we can, right? Okay, so from here, when that's complete for you, just gently patting that out. Awesome, and then let's come to our hands and our knees. So finding your way facing down. Let's take some lovely cat and cows. And this can be, so we often do cat and cow with intuitive movements. You can close your eyes. And the intention here is, can I listen to my body? Can I think about letting my body lead the movement? So rather than my mind saying, this is what you should do, or this is what this is supposed to look like, can I just close my eyes and let my body move the way that it wants to? So this practice can be kind of strange and unfamiliar, because in our culture we do a lot of thinking and analyzing and planning around like what's correct and incorrect. But we don't have to do that here. We can just be here. And that can mean too that if you find a spot that feels good, maybe you want to stay. We'll take about 6 more breaths. Okay, and then let's come to the belly. So when you're ready, just lay on down. And I want to take some therapeutic cobra poses. So There are lots of different ways to do that. And if you have a way that works for you, feel free to take it. My favorite is with the cactus shape with the arms. So we're pressing the tops of the feet down. Legs are active, core is engaged, pubic bone is pressing down. And then on the inhale, we're just rising up a little bit, and it doesn't have to be far. And then folding down. So we're just squeezing and releasing those back muscles with the support of the core and the support of the hands as well. So you can kind of come up as high as you'd like. And if you want to come up higher, the hands can come closer. But again, you can ask yourself, why do I want to come higher? Because I want to do more, or because it's what feels right in my body? So that's sort of a line of inquiry here. Nice. Okay. You can keep going like that, or come up to fingertips, lift the elbows, and you're going to rise a little higher. So that's more like a strange cobra. And then we can add a bit of a twist. So on the exhale, you can look to the right and dip your left shoulder down. Up through center, and then look to the left and twist the other way. So this is one of my favorites for the shoulders and the upper back when they're feeling to me like they're kind of stuck. This always really helps me to feel like I can lubricate those shoulder joints. Nice, just about one more. So I'm just completing that cycle, looking left, and then rising up through center, and then down to the belly, and just taking a nice little rest, letting the heels and the bum relax, breathing into the upper back. Okay, and then child's pose. So when you're ready, bring the toes together, widen the knees apart, and sink your hips back to your heels. There are lots of variations of child's pose, so take the one that feels best for you. This is a very simple one, just laying forward over the thighs, basically. Some people like the thighs a bit closer together. Lots of people prefer them a bit wider. I like them about armpit distance usually. And then you can take your arms forward or beside your hips, or lately I like this variation with the hands together, and then I bend the elbows and let them come to the back of the neck. Okay, you can stay right here or we'll add a side bend. So when you're ready, you can reach the arms forward, look forward, and then just walk your hands to the right, reaching out with that left hand and allowing your left bum to sink down. Okay, you can be up on fingertips, you can have the palm flat. Sometimes it's nice to have the right hand grounding the left. You don't necessarily need to do that. Excuse me. And then through center and over to the other side. And you know what? It's okay if the two sides are a little different. So again, your forehead could be down. You could be reaching out, up on fingertips, or left hand could ground the right. See what feels right on this side. And then gently release and come back through center. Take a couple of breaths there. Okay, if you have a block, please grab it and come to knees and elbows. You can place the block just between your hands, so you're just holding it like this with the palms facing each other. If you don't have a block, you can just bring the hands together and see how that feels. And then just walk your knees back and let your heart melt towards your thighs. Your bum is kind of sticking up in the air. I love this shoulder stretch. Let's take one more deep breath here. And then gently ease off so you can kind of come back to knees and elbows or slide back to child's pose, whatever feels easier. And then I'll invite you to take a downward dog from here if you would like. So feel free to stay in child's pose or on hands and knees. Otherwise, we can explore downward dog, spreading the fingers, tucking the toes, lifting the bum up. And then just a little bend in the elbows, we're hugging them together. And again, there is a pose, but there's also this intuitive movement intention you can bring into it. So, bending one knee at a time, swaying the hips, just exploring the shape a little bit, trying to work in a place that is moving away from judgment of your body and just kind of observing what's happening. And one variation I really like is feet as wide as the mat. Legs straightish, they're not locked. And then I'm just leaning my weight to the right. And then to the left. Beautiful. And then let's walk into a standing forward bend. So feet towards the hands, hips distance, or they could be wider. You can rest your elbows on your bent knees or hang down or hands on the ground, however works best for you. So the only alignment cue that really matters for forward fold is just don't lock the knees. So they could even be straight, but not locked. Locked is past straight. And that just means that your lower back isn't doing all the work of being here, okay? So movement is fine, stillness is fine. I would love for you to take the opportunity to relax your neck. And then take as many breaths as you'd like to roll up to standing. So if it feels safe, we'll roll. If it doesn't, you can look forward, bend your knees a lot, and come with a neutral lower back, which is just a little bit more, a little safer for the lower back. But if it feels good to roll, just do engage your core, lean back into your heels, and see if you can really let your shoulders and your head relax. Take your time. And then when you get to the top, roll your shoulders down your back. And let's take a moment to feel Tadasana standing. So again, we'll do it with this intuitive movement intention. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, go ahead and then just soften a bit and see how does your body stand that has the least effort possible. So for most of us, we want to have the feet spread, The knees a bit soft. And maybe just experimenting with where the weight of the pelvis is. Most of us need to let the weight of the pelvis release back a bit. And most of us also jet the head forward. So if we draw the head back a little and lift the chin, how does that change your relationship with your shoulders and your jaw? So just a little experiment. Beautiful, you guys. Okay, from that place, you can even keep your eyes closed if you'd like. Inhale and reach your arms up to the sky. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Lengthen forward and halfway up. And then exhale and melt over your legs. Bend your knees, look forward. Come nice neutral spine all the way back up. And then hands to heart. And we'll just do that 2 more times. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Diving forward, exhale. Halfway lift, fill the lungs. Almost a back bend. And fold, release. Bend the knees generously. Look forward and rise all the way up. Hands to heart. One more time, following your breath. Beautiful. We meet in standing. Relax your hands. Relax your knees and your head forward, and then do a reverse ragdoll towards the earth. If that doesn't feel good, dive down like we've been doing. Otherwise, allow your back to round a little and just slowly release down towards the earth. Take a halfway lift, and then we'll come into squat. So widen your feet a little bit more. Maybe mat's distance. Turn the toes out and sink your hips. If squat doesn't work for you, feel free to sit right down on your bum, okay? It can be super helpful to have a little prop underneath your heels, like 2 little blocks or a rolled towel or something. I'd love for you to be in this with no pain in your knees at all, okay? If you can, bring your hands together at your heart and see if you can take 3 deep breaths. So good. And then if you're not already, sit on back, release your legs. You can give them a nice little shake. And then let's have a seat on a little prop like the chip block. Okay, we're gonna work with a little bit of hip opening. There are a few different ways to do this, so let's try. I'm gonna mirror you, just so you know, for this little part. So take your right ankle onto your left thigh. That might be plenty. Okay, you can also bend the left leg. Hands are behind you or up on fingertips, and think of pressing your heart towards your shin. Yeah. So it's like a seated thread the needle kind of, called cobbler's pose. And then you could rock a little bit from side to side. And that might kind of massage out the hips in a little bit of a different way. So just see if that works for you. Okay, and you can keep working here, or some of you might like to try stacking the shins. And then you can add a little or a lot of a forward fold there. That's double pigeon. I find this one, it just, if your hips fit into your hip socket in a certain way, it works. If they don't, it doesn't. So just be in the place where you feel a hip opening that serves you. And keep your feet flexed. Awesome. And then let's gently rise up, release your legs. You can use your hands to help you. And we can take some windshield wipers. Okay, and then second side, release the legs. You can give them a little wobble here as well. And then take your left ankle onto your right thigh. And bend just until you feel a stretch in the hip. Fingertips behind you, and we're really trying to lift the heart towards the shin. So another way of saying that is that we're almost trying to roll onto the fronts of our sit bones. So you should feel a pretty good hip opening there. I love this one actually because it's accessible for almost everybody, even more so than thread the needle in some cases. And you have quite a bit of control over how much stretch you're working with. So you can really kind of press into it, or you can back off a little bit whenever you need to. And I find that little rock from side to side is like a little massage for those hips. Okay, and feel free to stay if this is working for you, or if you do like the double pigeon forward fold, you can stack the shins and fold any amount. Don't worry too much about what this looks like. It might not look like it does on me, and that's okay. The thing that we really want to be aware of is, do my knees feel safe? If they don't, go back to cobbler's pose. If they do, and you're getting a nice hip opening, you're fine. Okay, beautiful. And then when you're ready, gently roll yourself up. Release your legs. You can wash them side to side if you like. Okay, release the legs, give them a little wobble, and then take them nice and wide. And you might find that you want to kind of roll onto the fronts of the sit bones for this one. Flex the feet, and you might notice that right here, you are feeling the opening in the inner thighs. So you don't have to fold forward if forward folds don't work for you. You can also think about lifting the chest up and just tipping forward ever so slightly from your hips. And I'm already feeling it right here. And this is a relatively safe place for lower back. So feel free to stay up, or you can start to walk forward. And if you are walking forward, we're not overly rounding the spine. You can round the spine a bit, that's okay, but it's really more a movement from the hips. You don't want to feel this largely in your lower back, okay? And then breathing here. If you hate this, if it's just really not working for you, you can return to happy baby, okay, which is a little easier on the back in general, but it's a similar muscle group. Awesome. Okay, let's roll on up. You can gently bring the knees together, maybe holding them with your hands. And I often like to just kind of wrap my arms around my knees for a few moments. Okay, and then from here, we'll take a twist. So there are lots of different ways to twist. If you have a favorite way, don't mind if you take that one. And if you have a wall, I'd love for you to use it. If you don't have a wall, you can do the same twist without it. It just adds a little bit piece. So I'm going to come and sit up against the wall. And I've got about two handprints between me and so I'm just going to not mirror you because it's going to get confusing in a twist. So I've got my right thumb about two handprints away from the wall, and then I'm going to take my legs into a deer position. So I've got my left knee connected at my right inner arch. So if I don't have a wall, I'm just going to take the left hand across, right hand behind, and gently spiral. If I do have the wall, I'm going to take a nice big arc and then press the fingertips into the wall to help roll my shoulders back and just get a little bit more of an opening in the chest. Left bum is not on the ground, it's lifting up. So the whole body is in a spiral. Okay, and then we'll gently ease off. I'm just going to arc my right hand back, and then we'll switch over to the second side. So you're on your left hip, right knee to the inner arch. You can experiment with how close you want to be to the wall. If you're working with a wall, left arm opens. I'm a little tighter in my shoulders right now, so I'm a little farther away than I could be. But it's really just that place where you get a nice stretch. Right hand is across, and if you're not working with the wall, the left hand is just behind you, and that's perfect. And either way, we're just working the shoulder blades down the back. Awesome. And then we'll gently release back to center. And we can wash the knees from side to side a couple times. Okay, so we're going to make our way into Shavasana from here, and I'll just encourage you to take a restorative Shavasana. So that could be legs up the wall. It could be laying back over a bolster, which is a really lovely one, a nice passive heart opener. I'm actually going to do, I'm really feeling the tightness in my upper back today, so I'm going to take a low yin-like heart opener. So I've just got the block flat, and I'm going to see how it feels with the chip block under my head. I could also have the bolster just behind me like this. And I'm just going to let the heart be elevated a little. So that's just behind my shoulder blades. Arms as open as feels comfortable, which might be not at all. Feel free to add your eye pillow, your blanket, whatever it is. And whatever shape you're taking, ensure that it is comfortable enough that you're not thinking about it the whole time. So you want to actually be able to breathe deeply and just kind of rest in the shape. And then you can take a nice deep breath. And come back to that quality of just sinking into the earth, releasing any tension in your body that you're able to release. So take a moment to notice how you're feeling right here. And keep in mind that if what you're feeling is that you'd like to stay, you can. And I'll just invite you to come back to that intuitive movement intention. So if you are feeling ready to move, you can start to deepen your breath and then see if you can kind of allow your body to lead the movement and just kind of see how you want to wake up your body. Again, this isn't a logical process. It's not something we're thinking through. We're just allowing the energy to move through the body however it wants to. Eventually, we'll curl over to one side and then find a seat. You can place your hands at your heart or over top or on your belly, wherever works for you. And then gently bow your mind to your hands, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge the work that it took for you to show up to your practice today, whatever that practice looked or felt like. To honor and acknowledge the long and complex lineage of yoga teachers that is with us when we do our practice. And to honor and acknowledge the land that we practice on, wherever that may be in the world. Thank you for sharing your practice.